Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Kathy at Attic Treasures, etc. And welcome to part 5 of my boxes, bags, and book pages series. It's perfect for beginners. So we cut up the Kleenex box to make the cover, and we've already made all the signature covers that are inside. They're not attached yet, but they're just in there. And now I wanted to take the flaps that are left over from cutting apart the Kleenex box, and we'll go ahead and make some tags from them. So you can see that these aren't really straight edges. Some of them have like some of the pattern on it, some white. We're going to be using some napkin scraps that we have here. Also some book pages, some coffee dye paper scraps, just different things like that to make these a little bit more interesting. So my first plan is to turn these into square, well, rectangular, to get rid of some of these funky edges. And this is a really good project, especially we're kind of heading into cold season where you're probably going to end up with a few boxes. So if you're going to buy Kleenex boxes, why not buy some with some pretty patterns? We were just at the Dollar Tree yesterday, and I was pretty impressed with some of the cute patterns there were on the Kleenex boxes, but I already have sort of a stash, so I didn't get any this time. And think of them as journals in waiting, or raw journals. These super easy journals are going to make great gifts for anytime you need to give a gift. So this one's already nice and square, but it's a little bit long, so I'm going to cut it off to, let's see, 6 inches, so I'll have a tag and maybe a journal card. 6. Actually, let's go 5. Okay, so now that I've got them all squared up, I'm going to go ahead and just cut some tag shapes on the tops of them, and I'm using the little dots on my grid line as a guide. Okay, so if I go from the bottom dot on this one to the bottom dot on that one, that should give me the angle that I want. And then you just do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so that's a nice tag shape. With this one, I think I'll make this one a journal card. It has a lot of space on on the width here, so I'm going to leave this one rectangular without, and this one too. I'm just going to leave these in a rectangular shape. I might round the corners after I'm done. This one I'm going to turn into a tag. You can do anything you want, obviously, with these. All your choice. You can choose to put tag shape at the top or not, or just leave them around the corners, or put zigzag, take some pinking shears and cut the top, or whatever, just play around with it and do whatever you like. It's your journal. Or if you're making it for a gift, whatever you're doing, whoever receives this will appreciate the effort that you put into it. I know, because I have given away several journals, and so far everyone has told me that they loved it and really appreciated it. Okay, the whole Kleenex box, this is all that's left. Okay, so that's pretty good. Waste not, want not, right? Okay, so now the ones that are have the pattern on the whole, covering the whole surface here, I'm going to cover with Napkin. These I'm going to cover with book page. So we'll get the napkin ones going. And again, I'm using Mod Podge because this is what I have right now. And because it's probably for a beginner, this is the easiest to acquire. Cover the surface with Mod Podge. And I have some more of this napkin that we used on the cover. So I'm just going to go ahead and smooth this on with my fingers and let it dry. And we can trim it down a little bit later. This is kind of a small one, so I'm going to use this napkin This one also came from the Dollar Tree. I just picked some more up yesterday. Oh, there's some really pretty fall ones. I don't know. I have to stay out of these places because I am seriously out of room in my craft room. I was going to do a video yesterday, and instead I spent the entire afternoon reorganizing my craft room, which was sorely needed, and I mean to tell you. So I can find stuff now. There was stuff all over the floor, but now now it's a little bit more, some semblance of order. My husband had an appointment in the vicinity, so I went with him to the appointment and then went to the dollar store afterward because I wanted to pick up a couple of things. And I always look at the napkins because I just can't help myself, and so I picked up a couple. And they've got some nice embellishments too, in the form of like maple leaves and sunflowers and stuff like that as well. Okay, now this is kind of a bigger one, so I'm going to use more of this napkin because I really like those flowers. Okay, that's just too perfect right there. I'll save these for later. Forgot I had that. That was sitting over there on the side, nice and quiet, minding its own business. Okay, so now I'm just going to trim and then give it a coat of Mod Podge on the top to seal it, to seal the napkin so it doesn't end up tearing or something. But also, it's a good time to glue down any edges that are sort of peeling up. So I hope everybody's having a good day. We went for another hike the other day, day before yesterday, and we're just hiking along. I was wearing a black shirt. My husband was behind me, and all of a sudden, on the back of my left arm, I started feeling something very painful, and I grabbed my arm, and then I saw flying around kind of in front of me towards my knees this black insect that we were kind of in the shadows, and I'm pretty sure it was a hornet. I think I got stung by a hornet. It's still very red, very inflamed, but you know, you're out there and you're kind of in their territory, although I don't know why it decided to attack me out of the blue. You know, we didn't accidentally step on a nest. We don't venture off the trail ever. But there it was. I have to say though, that's the only second time in my life I've ever been stung by anything other than a mosquito. I got stung by a wasp once, years ago, many years ago. I lived in a house that had a hot tub, and I was taking the cover off of my hot tub, and I felt something strange on my hand, and I heard kind of this kind of weird bouncing sound off of the deck, and it turns out it was a wasp that had bounced off of the cover after. Well, it stung me, and then it bounced on the deck. I saw, this is just so weird. Okay, I'm sort of a geek, just FYI, but I have a lighted magnifier in my on my sewing table to help with, you know, for the inevitable times that I have to unpick stitches. And so I rushed upstairs to see what this sting would do, because it was the first time I'd ever been stung, and I could see the venom coursing through my skin. I was just fascinated by this spectacle, and it was so weird. But anyway, so I got stung, and it still hurts, but no big deal. I was always terrified of getting stung before, and then I got stung by that wasp, and it was like, oh, is that all it is? Seriously? I don't know what I was afraid of, but anyway, it wasn't nearly as big a deal as I thought it was going to be, thankfully. Okay, so before I put the second coat of Mod Podge on here, I'm gonna take this emery board and I'm just gonna file it a little bit. For these guys, I'm going to cover these with book page. You know, the same book pages that I've been using on the other parts of the journal. Dictionary, music, some Edith Holden. And you do kind of want to pay attention to what's on the page if you're doing that, because it can, you know, end up being kind of embarrassing. Well, here's some dictionary page that I'd already put some of the napkin on, so why not use that? And since I have more of this, it's just sitting here waiting to be used, I'll just put it on here. So what I have here for the backs of these, so that you have some writing space, is I have the margins from this music sheet, and then some copy dyed paper. Why don't we go ahead and just attach that to the back. And this is what I call using everything. Another nice thing that you can do with these margins, if you have word stamps or any kind of stamps really, you can stamp on them and I like to make word sentiments. Okay, I'm going to take some vintage photo and ink the edges. Now at this point, if you choose to, you can always put another layer of Mod Podge on the front of this, and that does give it a nice texture. But what I'm going to do is put some embellishments on it. Kind of decorate it up a little bit. Okay, I kind of like this. I'm going to cut around these images, but I'm not going to be able to get them. Whoops. Not going to be able to get it all. So whatever is in the background, I'm just going to ink up. And then that way, it's easier to do it when it's kind of in this stage rather than trying to wait until you've got it all cut around and fussy cut. Okay, I'm going to round the corners on these, and for this I'm going to use my Crocodile corner chomper, and I'm just going to use the 1/4 inch radius. It has a 1/2 inch radius as well. This is something that I have always felt was a really good investment. So when you get to the point where you want to maybe add to your supply list, this one is a great one. And then I think I do want to add a sentiment. I have some snap together stamps of, you know, letters like typewriter type stuff. And I really like to use them for this. I'll show you those in a second. I'm going to ink around. So the stamps that I use for this are these, they're called connectables, and you can take them apart and put them together. And I'll leave a link to these in the description below, but they are super fun to use. I really like them. Okay, so this is on its way to being done. It's not quite done yet, but we'll get there. And this one, I kind of like using the half butterfly, but this one already is a half, so I'll just cut off his wing. You can also harvest words, is what I call it, from books and dictionaries and stuff like that, instead of using the stamps like I have. This is from a field guide, as you can see from the back. Field guide of butterflies and moths. Field guides are fun to find at the thrift store. How about on this one we'll put the word love. Okay, those are taking shape. Okay, so on these we need to add the backing. So on the back of this I'm going to put this copy dyed paper. Now since Mod Podge is a wet white glue, it can warp your paper a little bit. So you just need to, you know, smooth it out as you go the best you can. You can also use like a little rolling pin, or this is called a brayer. That also helps a little bit. And then when you ink it up, or if you ink it up, if you have some ink, you can just go over those little bumps, and then that makes them look really vintagey and gives them a little bit more character. So just, you know, embrace them. This is just some paper that I coffee dyed with just regular coffee. I just dipped it, and then I had some water with I mixed some beet powder that I got at Grocery Outlet and add a little bit of food coloring to it. Okay, you can trim these and glue down any loose edges. Okay, so I finished adding the paper and trimming, and I did some inking on the back as well to kind of emphasize some of these high points. Just skim the blender over it. And now I'm using the 1/2 inch radius to round the corners on these journal cards. I would like to embellish these as well. This one, I think I just want to have a word. I want to have a word with you. In fact, I think I'll do that with both of these, since the napkin already is pretty enough. Let's see, how about dream and joy? So I'm just going to use some Fabri-Tac here, just because it has a nice little tip on it. I bought a Sugar Bell bottle. It's for cake decorating, actually, but I've seen that other people use them to put their Fabri-Tac in because it has a really narrow opening, which makes it easy and precise to attach. It's also not a wet white glue, it's acetone based, so it won't warp the paper. That one's pretty. Okay, but I have to cut off this part because it's kind of too big. Ink the background a little bit, make it a little bit darker. Okay, I had to stop for a minute and think about what I was doing and what I wanted to do with the rest of these tags. So I've made some more fussy cut images, kind of set them on here on these tags the way I would like to put them. So I'm just going to go ahead and put them on the rest of the way, and we'll carry on. So all of these fussy cut images are either from field guides or books. This one is from an Edith Holden book. This butterfly here is from a field guide of butterflies and moths. And I'm just adding words just because it's kind of nice to have a little word on them. So the field guides just came from the thrift store. I never buy new books for this as a general rule. The Edith Holden books I did get online because I couldn't find them anywhere. Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady. I bought a paperback, and I think it was actually a used paperback that I bought, but I also bought a hardback copy just for me because it's just so pretty, and Edith Holden is an interesting person. She actually drowned is how she died. She was climbing a tree to get something from the tree, I think to get a look at some eggs or something that was in a nest. And she fell, I believe, out of the tree into the Thames River and drowned. Okay, this little looks like a stamp, came from a book that I got at a thrift store on the stamps of state flowers and birds of the U.S. And the whole book is just full of images from those, those stamps and beautiful photographs and stuff. So I actually waited until the Super Senior Discount Day, which is at the end of the month. I think it's the last Tuesday of every month, where for seniors, I think it's like 62 or something like that and older, everything in the store is half off. So I waited until then, hoping nobody would buy it, and I wondered who would buy it, you know, besides another geek like me. This image is from a card that a friend sent me, and I thought it was so pretty. She's just the sweetest person ever, and she sends me cards, and so she knows I'm going to take them apart and use them in my craft. Okay, so for toppers, I just have some scrap fabric, and this is from making chindi rugs, or not making chindi rugs. These are from chindi rugs that I picked one up at Walmart and took it apart for the fabric inside. And I do have a video on, well, I have a few videos on that, and I can link it in the description. But I just love the way they look. They're just, you know, some of the fabrics for the chindi rugs, I will warn you if you're going to go get one, to take apart. Some of them just have like t-shirt material in them, nothing really pretty. But other ones like the one that I got, if you look at them closely before you purchase them, then you'll be able to see what kind of fabrics they have. So to keep this simple, I'm just going to staple this on there. Actually, before I staple it, I'm just going to put a little dab of glue on it just so it stays put. You don't have to staple it, but I just kind of like the look of a staple. I'm going to call that one done. And you can top these with lace or, you know, anything that you want. You can add buttons, and you can use ribbon, lace, and cover it up with some bling. You can get bling at the dollar store. Obviously, they don't all have to be the same color of fabric. I'm just doing that because I have it. It's right here, and I wanted to use it up. I really like the scrappy look of it. Also, I believe this color fabric, this is the fabric that I used at the inside of the journal to go across the inside of the spine. So I just realized that, and that'll look really nice. Okay, so for these two, I'm going to put some holes in the top and put some fabric reinforcers, or not fabric, some hole reinforcers on it. So I'm just going to ink a couple of them up. Now when you go to, if you go to get these anywhere, like thrift stores is where I usually find them, make sure they're, unless you like that look, make sure that they're not the glossy kind, because it's really hard to ink those up. And then just kind of center that on there where you want it. And actually, it's a good idea to glue these as well. I'm just going to grab a glue stick. So what I like to do is to center or get the hole reinforcer where I want it, and then I punch the hole through the center of that, and it makes it easier for me for placement. I just have a regular little hole punch. And then I put a hole reinforcer on the other side as well. Okay, I have some of this green that I can use to attach in the holes as toppers. This also came from that chindi rug. Okay, so what do we end up with here? We have all from the flaps of the box. We have 1, 2, 3 journal tags or journal cards. We have 3 tags with kind of a tag shape, and then we have 3 of these little guys, and I'll probably put some toppers on there too. I'm just not really sure yet what I want to do with it. That's a pretty good yield from the Kleenex box. So we have the cover of the Kleenex box, and we have all of these tags that we can put inside all of the little pockets and things like that. And in the next video, we'll decorate the signatures and sew everything in and put it all together. So I hope you enjoyed this and you're inspired to take a Kleenex box and cut it apart and make something fun out of it. Each one of these has a place to write on the back, and you can stamp, do other things on it, draw little pictures or whatever. But just, just this is a fun little project, fun to do with your kids, and a way to recycle something as fun as and easy to use as a Kleenex box. Think also too about using like pasta boxes or cereal boxes or something like that that you can turn into something more fun. So again, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so that you know when I've uploaded a new video. And always let the serendipity find you. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye for now.